Hey, Dougie.
How we doing, gentlemen? How's it going?
More than fine.
More than fine, yeah. Welcome back.
What NBA jersey is that? Is that a Michael Jordan jersey?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm 45 years old, so I did my fandom. MJ was my guy. Had the Air Jordans, everything.
Yeah.
Love Michael Jordan.
Jordan is a legend.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Brazil, people like most, I think, LeBron James, because the young people can see LeBron James in the court, right? But
I believe it. Yeah, up here, the Timberwolves just eliminated LeBron James, and now they're trying to eliminate Steph Curry. And so, it's fun to follow up here. But, yeah, I get it. LeBron, if you had just asked me who was the most popular player in Brazil, I would have guessed either LeBron or Curry, but I probably would have guessed LeBron first.
Exactly.
Curry is a huge one, too.
I think most countries would be LeBron.
Yeah, I think
Except
you're probably right.
From wherever Doncic is or Jokic is, then I think it's LeBron, basically the rest of the world.
I'm with you guys on that, yeah. So thanks for having me.
It's always
We
a pleasure.
appreciate you. It's always a pleasure. So, first of all, I want to thank you again for being here with us. You are practically a member of our podcast in Brazil by now. we even need to teach you some more things about Brazil. Maybe in the end of podcast.
I'm all ears. Yeah. However you guys can educate me, I'll just sit back and absorb all the knowledge.
Sure. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us again. You were one of the first people to support us, even though we are a small project from another country. So that means a lot to us. I've told you before this, but it's true. You helped open doors for us. Recently, we made direct contact with the Minnesota Vikings staff. They even sent us, a box with some gifts to thank us for our work here in Brazil. And they also gave us a permission to use the name Minnesota Vikings Brazil on social medias and the Vikings logo with the Brazilian flag. So, man, that's awesome. And you are definitely a part of this story. So, thank you, man.
You're welcome. I appreciate your passion. And so to me, if I can assist in even just like the most minuscule way possible, because trust me, I really didn't have anything to do with a lot of that. But if I was able to push you guys in the right direction, you guys ran with it. The Vikings reciprocated the interest. I'll tell you this much. Been doing this a long time. Been very fortunate, very blessed, very lucky. I'm not sure collectively from ownership on down, they make them better than the current Vikings organization. There are so many good people. So that matters, right? Yeah. Treat others how you want to be treated. The Vikings, they don't need to do that, right? You think about the TV ratings, the national TV contract, right? They don't need to embrace us, local media. They do, right? And so forever grateful to the really nice people over there in Egan.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. We even shocked right now, just, it's an incredible thing. So last time we talked back in November, I think, you said that you need a vacation with your wife in some exotic place and your kids always wanted their rides, that you were like their Uber driver. And were you able to take a few days off during the Vikings off season?
Yes, I did go down to Orlando, so north for you, but south, significantly south for me. So the kids won out, right? So Epcot Center, a great water park called Blizzard Beach. We've been to Disney World multiple times, but we ended up at an Orlando Magic game. My friend Sean Sweeney is one of the assistant coaches with the Dallas Mavericks, so he treated my boys like gold. We saw a Mavericks Orlando Magic game. So that was a blast. So, that was over spring break, late March into early April. So I was still here in town for the early wave of free agency, was here in town, right after vacation for, the 2-3 weeks leading into the draft, and now doing some stuff post-draft. And the Vikings have a rookie mini camp on Friday, so I look forward to being in Egan later in the week. The next thing you know, it's the next phase of off-season workouts. So the guys are out on the grass getting work in. The next thing you know, it's organized team activities into the mandatory mini camp. Now, to me, there's not much difference, OTAs compared to mini camp. But, yeah, it's a fun time of the year, right, where a lot of relationships are being cultivated. Mm-hmm. You're only getting so much work in on the field. But I'm just saying, like, think about all the new faces. Somebody like Jonathan Allen. Becoming good friends with Harrison Phillips, right, as one example. You think about all the new faces. Donovan Jackson, first-round draft pick. Getting to know Brian O'Neill, Christian Darrisaw, other members of the offensive line. In fact, I sat down with Donovan Jackson immediately after he arrived into town. He told me, hey, a bunch of guys reached out to him. And, like, the smile on his face, just how happy he was that Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw and all these guys touched base with him immediately, welcoming him into the family. It was pretty cool to hear him just explain that. So, yeah, it's a fun time right now, right? I mean, the way I explain it, gentlemen, is you're not losing a game anytime real soon, right? Now, for their sake, hopefully, we do this again in mid to late October, and they haven't lost a game. But there's not a whole lot of stress, right? It's sort of a loosey-goosey type atmosphere right now. So, yeah, it's fun whenever we can get out there and be around those guys.
I think everyone is a Super Bowl winner in May.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, optimism reigns supreme. Even if you're a fan of, let's say, the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're probably pretty optimistic right now, right? I mean, you have Hunter, you have a new head coach, you have a new general manager that looks like he could be my son, right? Like, I'm saying, the division isn't all that competitive. It's not a great division, put it that way, unless you think the Houston Texans or Indianapolis Colts are fantastic. But we can nitpick that division. I'm just saying, if you're a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're probably pretty happy right now. Now, hey, by September 20th, you may not be, right? You start 0-2 or 0-3. Yeah. It's a different tone. But here in early May, you're pretty darn excited. I mean, that goes across the board, right? That's all 32 franchises, I promise. Across the board in the NFL, fan bases, internally, like, everybody is excited right now.
When we talked in November, the Vikings were in the middle of the season. Just won, I don't remember how many games in a row. We then go beat the Packers, sweep the Packers in a crazy game, and then fell flat on their faces against the Lions and the Rams in back-to-back weeks. Since that point, the start of the end of last season, what do you think were the good and bad points for the Vikings, and how do you see the season so far? The free agent additions, the draft, extending O'Connell, maybe sending Kwesi. We'll ask about that soon enough.
Yeah, and I absolutely foresee them extending Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the general manager. I know it's not done right this second, but I absolutely see Kwesi here for the foreseeable future. I anticipate that contract extension to get done. There's been enough dialogue with his representation. To me, it's when, not if, that contract extension gets done. So if you remember, immediately after the playoff loss in Glendale, Arizona against the Los Angeles Rams, Kevin O'Connell was at the podium. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but he called out the interior of his offensive line. Well, they go out now. I don't sense signing Ryan Kelly was atop their list heading into that first wave of free agency, but Will Fries was absolutely a plan A. And as they started to investigate, okay, well, Fries and Kelly, teammates in Indianapolis, have a good relationship. Okay, Ryan Kelly certainly can make the case and upgrade over Garrett Bradbury. They started to explore, started to hear some stuff, and they're like, okay, we can get both these guys. So they have a new center. They have a new right guard. They drafted a left guard. Blake Brandel is still here. He's under contract. He can be a legit backup, a swing guy that can play multiple positions. But to me, the idea was the number one goal entering this offseason was to fix the interior of the offensive line. Well, they've done that. They have a new starter at left guard, a new starter at center, a new starter at right guard. And hey, week 1, perhaps a new starter at left tackle, Justin School, because Christian Darrisaw, he underwent surgery. The injury happened on October 24th. He tore multiple ligaments in his knee, and he's doing great. Rehab is going phenomenal. You talk to people in Egan, he's knocking it out of the park. And he's an incredible athlete. But still, he underwent surgery in early November. So it's 10 months, just a bit aggressive for him to be playing week 1 in early September. It might be. So we may not see Christian Darrisaw until a few weeks later. So that means we may see Justin School, who they brought in free agency from Tampa, as the starting left tackle. Or maybe somebody else. But certainly School would have first crack at that. And so that was the number one goal. Fix the offensive line. But they also wanted to get better interior of the defensive line. Remember March of 2024. They aggressively pursued Christian Wilkins, a free agent who ultimately chose the Las Vegas Raiders. They wanted Wilkins. The price got too high. Well, okay, they were able to get some interior defensive linemen this time around. Jonathan Allen, Hargrave. The question to me is, you look at some of these guys, Hargrave, Fries, Kelly. They were all hurt last year. Allen, too, right? So a lot of these guys are coming off pretty significant injuries. Do the Vikings have the secret sauce, or at least the confidence that they can find a way to keep these guys on the field? This Vikings roster is loaded. It wasn't that big of a deal that they only had 4 draft picks entering draft weekend, because to me, there's only so many jobs to be won. A lot of the jobs are already wrapped up. Now, hey, guys can come into camp, compete for a spot on the practice squad. There will be competition, but I'm just saying, if you look at the 53-man roster, there's 40-something spots, to me, already locked up. There's not a whole lot of competition.
I agree with you.
A really good and maybe more so a really deep roster. It's a challenging schedule. Don't get me wrong. Really challenging schedule. We'll get the specific opponents and dates, next Wednesday.
Yeah.
So 1 week from today is the NFL schedule release, but we know who they're playing. We just don't know the dates. We know the teams that they're playing. We just don't know the specific dates, although there is a report from a radio station in Pittsburgh that the Vikings will play the Steelers in Ireland on September 28th in Dublin, Ireland. I've not been able to confirm that myself. I also haven't even really dug on that, just knee deep in some Timberwolves work. But I trust that radio host in Pittsburgh has that nailed down pretty good, right? Because the Steelers must have a really good idea what week they're going to Ireland. We knew the Steelers were going to Ireland in the fall. I'm guessing somebody with the Steelers leaked that to that Pittsburgh radio host. So I trust that information, that September 28th, Vikings at Steelers, but in Dublin, Ireland, not in Pittsburgh. But yeah, I mean, the question is, how many jobs really are up for grabs? It's not that many. It's a really good roster. There's a lot of reason for optimism. There really is. To me, the Super Bowl window remains pretty darn open, and I think it'll be open for at least 1 to 2 more years.
You said about Vikings and Steelers, but Henrique, go on the question. I am putting the script.
No, we were all hoping that the Vikings would play here in Brazil against the Chargers. When they announced the Chargers would play here in São Paulo, we all were like, well, maybe the Vikings are coming, because we start theorizing. Well, they won a nice game. They won't put, with all due respect, Chargers, Titans or Browns, or a team that wouldn't be a big show, because last year Eagles Packers, a great game. The Eagles then went on to win the Super Bowl. So I think here in Brazil we went down the Vikings, the Commanders, and I think the Texans. They also
Chiefs.
But
I'm just thinking if the Vikings end up in Ireland, they're probably not making another foreign trip.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately for you guys,
I
think it's looking good.
We can still have hope for 1 more week.
Sure.
Until it's official, I think it's here.
If it's not this calendar year, I mean, to me, it's not slowing down the NFL playing games in your home country. So if it's not this year, sometime in the next few years, right? I mean, because what they may end up doing is instead of 1 game per season, maybe it turns into 2 or more than that, right? So that many more teams will travel to Brazil. So if it's not 2025, maybe it's as soon as 26 or 27. I mean, it's pretty clear the NFL has a vested interest in your country.
I heard a rumor about that. The game is in São Paulo, but I think Rio de Janeiro also wants a game played there. And no, Justin Jefferson already went to Brazil. He likes Vinicius Jr., a big football star in Brazil. It will make a lot of sense for the Vikings to play here. I want that so bad. I want that so bad.
No, I get it. And they have a pretty good national following. Because they've been, I get it, they haven't won a Super Bowl, but going back to the 70s, right? I mean, they played in Super Bowls. They've played in a lot of conference championship games. Yes, a lot of heartbreak. Don't get me started on a lot of that, right? But the Vikings have played in a lot of big games. And they've had a lot of marquee players at marquee positions. Adrian Peterson and Randy Moss and now Justin Jefferson, right? We can go up and down the list. Well, when you have superstars like that at these premier positions, inevitably you're going to gain a following. And so, they're not the Cowboys or the Steelers or now the Chiefs or Eagles or even maybe the Packers. But to me, the Vikings have a pretty significant national following. Really worldwide following. There are Vikings fans littered all across the world.
How many minutes do you have?
I have a few more minutes, gentlemen. Yeah.
Okay. And let me see. I would like to talk a little about behind the scenes stuff. Brazilian fans always ask for this because we live far from the team and we don't have a real connection with the players or coaches or even our retired players. So do you have a friendship or close relationship with any player or any member of the team? And who you think are the most friendly or funny player in the locker room?
Well, I mean, just in my position, right, as a TV journalist, TV reporter, podcaster / YouTuber / radio with my Score North duties, I try to be as unbiased as possible. Now, deep down, because I have so many friends that work for the team and I know that they're really good people, I do root for their professional livelihood. The better the team does, the better my friends' just overall vibe is, just everything, right? So I understand that. But truthfully, I root for a good story. So whether the Vikings win or lose each game doesn't really concern me. Like, as long as there's something really good to talk about, that's what I root for. So if it's a loss, it's a loss. If it's a win, great. Now, when I'm working a post-game locker room, it's much easier to work a locker room after a win compared to a loss. But that being said, these guys are pros. They get it. They understand, hey, we talk when we win. We talk when we lose. So it's a locker room full of a lot of good people. It really is. And hey, 10 years ago, I'm not quite sure I could have said that. But now, character matters a lot to this organization. Yeah. But if you want me to single somebody out, Josh Metellus has a heart of gold. Josh Metellus is such a good guy. But I could list other guys as well. But no, I mean, I don't consider it a friendship. Now, former Vikings, like Ben Lieber, former Vikings linebacker, does some work in our building. I was just at a retirement party for a mutual friend of ours on Sunday where Ben was. And so it's great to see Ben out and about. He has a son that's competitive in athletics here in the Twin Cities, same age as my older son. So they've connected on the football field. So we've swapped stories about that. Chad Greenway, another former Vikings linebacker, is here in town. He does so much stuff, from a charity standpoint. And so I have mad respect for Chad Greenway. So, some of these former Vikings, sure. Like, I don't know about friends. It's not like we're hanging out on Friday night or Saturday night, sitting around a campfire chugging beers. It's not like I'm doing that with you guys, but we have a cordial relationship. Anytime we see each other out and about, we catch up with each other and how's your family doing? How's your family doing? Personal life type stuff. How's work? How are things, right? So, Greenway, Lieber, I can list some other guys as well, but the guys that are here in town, right? It's easier for me when they're here in the Twin Cities compared to elsewhere. But like Hall of Famer Paul Krause, great guy. I'm just saying, I can go up and down the list, right? I mean, on social media, former Vikings quarterback Tommy Kramer, he's omnipresent. He is everywhere. And so there's a lot of good dudes. There really are. But I don't consider it friendships with current players. It's not my job to be friends with these guys. My job is to cover these guys.
The final question, okay? Since you are one of the best people to talk about Minnesota teams, how do you see the current situation of the Vikings, Timberwolves, Twins, and Wilds? And to finish, do you think the Minnesota market is become more attractive for other players to choose Minnesota?
Depends on what sport. Yes and no. Like for the hockey team, they have cap space this summer. They are going to attract at least one really good free agent forward. Hockey players have all sorts of interest, including guys that have a lot of ties here in playing here. Now, state income tax, stuff like that, when talking about guys' money, I don't know if the Twin Cities, if Minnesota is atop their wish list. I do think with Anthony Edwards on the basketball side, moving forward, that there are going to be players interested in playing with Ant. Baseball-wise, I mean, I think oftentimes guys just take, whether it's just the most guaranteed money or at least the most security, so term on the contract, length, amount of years. I think that matters, but I think guys will come here. But to me, ultimately, it's on the baseball team to make the richest offer. Football-wise, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this much. I sat down with Jonathan Allen's agent, Blake Barretts, who's a friend of mine. They singled out a while ago how appealing playing for the Vikings would be. The league knows, hey, it's great if you're an offensive player in particular to play for Kevin O'Connell. Heck, if you're a defensive player, to play for Brian Flores.
Yeah.
The way they put guys in positions to succeed. Kevin O'Connell, a quarterback whisperer. Daniel Jones being here for a few months. Rehabbing enough, now getting a good opportunity with the Indianapolis Colts. Clearly, the Vikings wanted Jones back. He chose the Colts instead. But there is appeal, especially if you're a quarterback, to being under the tutelage of Kevin O'Connell. So, yeah, there is appeal, across the four major men's professional sports in players being here. But really, to me, it's case by case. But, yeah, I mean, it's a fun time. Now, hey, the Warriors won game one against the Timberwolves, but Steph Curry is going to miss at least a week. The Timberwolves are still the betting favorite to win that series.
Yes.
So let's say the Wolves can win that series. They'll make it once again to the Western Conference Finals, just like last year. That's fun. This is a bandwagon town. People love following a winner. The hockey team, yes, lost in the first round again, but they're not that far away. The baseball team finally won a playoff series for the first time in a really long time in 2023. Took a step backwards last year, collapsing at the end. Off to a bit of a slow start this year. A lot of fans clamoring for new ownership. But the American League isn't that strong to me. Like the best teams in baseball, to me, all play in the National League. The Cubs and the Dodgers and the Padres, the Mets, the Phillies. Like, I think the 4 or 5 best teams in baseball play in the National League, not the American League. So the Twins have a fighting chance. The Twins are right now playing their best baseball of the season. And then on the Vikings, I'm telling you. Now, it's because I am so bullish on J.J. McCarthy. I am such a big J.J. McCarthy fan. But yes, I think the Vikings Super Bowl window, I'm telling you, I think it is the most open it's been in a long time this year. But I also think that window is going to remain open for at least the 2026 season, but probably a year or two beyond that. And I get it. He has yet to take an NFL snap. So there are legit question marks about J.J. McCarthy. I fully understand that. I'm not expecting him to not have a hiccup or two. It's not going to be perfect. Like, I'm not predicting J.J. McCarthy to be the 2025 MVP. Okay? I'm not going that far. But I think with Jordan Mason coming in, with Aaron Jones back, with the upgrades on the offensive line, yes, health matters, but that they're going to be able to run the ball even better than they did last year. And I think just from a scheme standpoint, Kevin O'Connell will be able to put J.J. McCarthy in a position to succeed. So I think he will have what is his rookie year. He's still considered a rookie, even though he was a draft pick a year ago. He didn't play a year ago. He is still considered a rookie. I think J.J. McCarthy will have a good rookie year.
I think we wanted to ask you how much time you still have. You have like a little, not a game, but like to teach you another thing about Brazil. We always like to do this.
Yeah. I'm all ears. Yes,
Okay.
my son's baseball game. I can't make every game. I try to make as many as I can, but it's just about to start, so I got to pull up a video feed. But I've got another minute or two.
Okay. We wanted to teach you a couple of Brazilian popular sayings that we have here. It's some weird phrases, but like we just say that and everyone knows what you're talking about.
Okay.
The first one is quem não tem cão, caça com gato, which translates to if you don't have a dog, you hunt with a cat. It means like you just do whatever you can do with whatever you have.
All right, say it one more time so I have it in my brain.
If you don't have a dog, hunt with a cat.
No, I get that part, but say
In Portuguese.
Yeah, in Portuguese. Yeah.
Quem não tem cão, caça com gato.
Okay. All right.
The other one is em terra de cego, quem tem olho é rei. It translates to in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Okay. All right.
I said it's some weird phrases that don't make too much sense, but they make sense. No, it's like even if you have a small advantage, you easily can stand out.
Yeah.
I like it. I will tell you boys this much. The Portuguese language to me is incredibly fascinating. I don't know a whole lot about it, but just everything about it, just it piques my curiosity. How about that?
Yeah. No, it's I love Portuguese. I love it.
Yeah.
And the last one that we have is Deus ajuda quem cedo madruga. It means God helps those who wake up early.
All right.
Make sense.
I wake up earlier than I ever have. Trust me, in my 20s, I was sleeping in all the time. Now I'm up at 6:30 in the morning. So I'll take it.
Yeah. So that's it, Dougie.
Good
Thank
boy.
you for
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you. Always appreciate the invitation. We can do it again after the Vikings start training camp, late July, early August. I can give you some reports from what I see out there in Egan.
Okay.
Of course. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for the invitation.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. See you guys.
See you. Good night.